On this episode of Paint Society, we're going to put to the test a budget paint gun as we outfit it with the proper tools necessary to get the most out of it. Then we're going to compare it to other guns within its league, then put it to the test by spraying sealer, base coat, and clear coat. The results upon us will stun you!
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Society, the channel where the learning doesn't stop when the video ends. Today, we're going to be using a budget paint gun to seal, blend, and clear coat on this car right behind me. Now, did you notice how I use the term budget? What I like to think of when I mention the word budget is a gun that will get the job done without breaking the bank. Now, we'll discuss the many differences in budget and high-end and cheaper guns. First, let's go ahead and let's do our unboxing. Now, Astro makes the two types of guns in their Euro Pro. They make the Euro Pro HE and the Euro Pro. The HE stands for high efficiency, and this is the HVLP. This is gonna save a little bit more paint, but might be a little bit tougher to lay down the paint. This is gonna break up the paint just a little bit better, so we're gonna be using this one today. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's open her up. This particular model comes with the 1.3, which is what I asked for, and the 1.3 is a general good overall tip for your sealers, base coats, and clear coats. It comes with the cup, but we did purchase the PPS adapter, so I'll show you that in a moment. We got our gun right here, as well as our gun key adjustment wrench. Let's take a look. This little filter right here, I never use. It actually goes in the gun right here. Don't ever use these. We have modern day type of products that do the job a little bit better. Okay, so right off the bat, it's very extremely light. It's kind of got that Sato look with the adjustment fan right here. Looks like we got our fan right here, and then we have our fluid right here. Feels a lot better than a Harbor Freight. It's not stiff like we found on that $15 spray gun, which is right here. Much stiffer and a lot smoother, so that's a good sign so far. Taking a look at the air cap, looks pretty kind of similar to most paint guns. And then we have our fluid tip right here. I like that I don't have a whole bunch of little plastics all over. Seems pretty straight up, which is a good thing. Now, the title says how to use a budget paint gun to get a good finish, and that starts off by having the right air fittings. There's two types of air fittings. You'll find right here on the left, this one's a little bit smaller for general use, and this one on the right is a little bit more high flow. It's got a bigger diameter. That means that more air is going to be going in through the gun body and out, so that it has a better chance of atomizing the paint a little bit better. And you can find these online. We'll put the link in the description. Now, to make sure that we have a good adjustment valve, I went and spent about 30 or 40 bucks on a DeVilbiss gauge. Now, this isn't like the RTI one you usually use, but it will do the job just fine. So get yourself a decent gauge on there, that one that will allow the air to go through the gun, and once again, through the paint and onto the panel. And last but not least, we will not be using the plastic cup. Sometimes it can be hard to clean out and it can leave residue, and we'll be able to use a better pressurized cup with the PPS adapter. So pretty much we got our adapter that fits this gun perfectly, and we screwed in, and this allows us to use our disposable liner and cup system. And there we have it. We have our DeVilbiss gauge, and then we have our 3M PPS adapter. And I gotta say, it's a nice looking gun. It feels good. It's not too heavy at all. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with our sealer on the car. Now, here's the vehicle right here. And whenever we get one of our own service or loaner vehicles, like this one right here, it gives us a little bit extra time to take time to show you guys how a budget gun can work still to your advantage. Now, let's talk about a little bit about what's going to be going on today without getting into too much detail and focusing more on how to use that gun to benefit yourself. So what we'll be doing is we'll be spraying sealer on pretty much this whole door and into the fender, and then we'll blend into the middle of the rear door and all the way to about the middle or all the way past the fender, because we're painting the bumper, and then we'll clear coat the whole entire thing. Now, the reason why we're using sealer is because we want a little bit of insurance that all of our sand scratches are nicely covered, plus it's going to help us with our color match. We do not need to use sealer. Sealer is just a thinned out primer. You could go ahead, and if you prepped it, you'll be able to paint right over that. but we have to warranty everything here, so sealer is gonna help create that adhesion, and it's gonna make sure that everything underneath the paint is a uniform substrate. Now the first thing you wanna do is you wanna make sure that you run some thinner or clean it out, which I already have since the gun is brand new. And now this is the PPS adapter liner kit with the actual hard cup. This gets reused. This is what gets disposed all the time. It's a top collar and it is the liner, and they fit together. And then they snap together, and then the adapter that we purchased fits together, and this adapter actually fits this specific gun based off the thread pitch and all that stuff. So I'll always set up a gun at wide open and we'll go from there. To do that on this gun, it is the fan all the way to the left, and then to find wide open on a fluid, I'll hold the trigger down and then I'll press this fluid control knob in until I can't anymore. Okay, if I were to let go of the trigger right there, you could push it more in. But the point is to find wide open. So again, push on that, hold it down, and then turn to the right. And then what you'll find is this is wide open. So right here, I'm gonna leave it from here. If I do one turn in from wide open, that's one turn in. And if I say 2 turns in from wide open, that's 2 turns. But for now, we keep it at wide open and we adjust from there. This is the air valve at the bottom. Some guns, they'll stop when it's wide open. This one is just free spinning. So when it just keeps on spinning, that means it's wide open here. So we'll go ahead and we'll spray our sealer right now. Just laid the sealer in. Wow, pretty easy. We ran the pressure only around 20 psi. It seemed to really have good transfer efficiency rate. I didn't really want to kick it up too much either. I'm a big sucker for a gun with a big fan. That's kind of what I like so far about this gun. You've got right here just about a 12-inch fan, which is pretty cool. One coat of sealer and it really covered pretty well. That stuff you saw me spray on after was blending additive, a trick I learned over at Lexus from Brian. Thanks, Brian. You might ask, why didn't we seal over that? That's a chip we fixed. We didn't seal over that because it would have taken our sealer too far and then our blend too far. We need to preserve our color, and that was only sanded with 800 grit, so we should have no problem. A big question I'll get is, do I need to clean out my gun in between coats? Obviously, yes, you need to clean it out between sealer, base, and clear. But I think one of the bigger questions is you're asking, do I have to clean it out between sealer and the next coat of sealer, or base and then the next coat of base? No. As long as within an hour or so, you should be fine. The sealer might kick a little bit quicker, but you should never even be putting 2 coats on with an hour in between your sealer anyways. It's usually about 10 to 15 minutes flash time. So don't clean it out while you're putting the coats on, but in between substrates, yes. Now, when we go to shoot our base, we can pull it full throttle, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna first let out air, and then we're gonna pull it just a little bit, not all the way. We don't need to merge the whole entire panel with base. Let's just put base on the first coat here and introduce the paint to the surface. Now this is in real time. Our first coat is down and you can tell it's blending really good. You might ask, why do I start from the bottom and move up? Well, our primary area that we need to cover was down here, and this helps me keep a wet edge. Rather than starting up here where we're trying to preserve our blend and make sure that we don't put paint here, it just helps us control the paint just a little bit better. I'll let this dry for about 10 to 15 minutes and then we'll do our second and then our drop coat. It's looking good so far. And while that paint is drying, we have a chip that we cannot just put color on because then it's not gonna match our quarter panel. This area right here, we're just gonna do this loaner car a favor and just give a little bit of a touch up. That way it's not that obvious once it's been painted. There we go. Now once it's cleared, we won't be able to detect it as easily. Now that first coat went down, and all I'm really doing is letting the gun do the job. This gun is very nimble, very easy to spray. I'm already thinking for $100, this blows the Black Widow out of the water, very user-friendly, and you know, let's see how it does with our second coat that we're gonna do right now. We're gonna spray our second coat on, take it a little bit further, and then right after that second coat, once it's wet, we're gonna do an orientation drop coat where we drop the pressure just a few more pounds and increase our distance, and that's gonna help put those metallics on nice and even, and then we should have good enough coverage for our clear coat. So we're ready for clear coat. Now you notice when I based, I kind of walked the whole car and did the whole length of where I was painting. For clear, I like to break it into halves. So I'll start almost at the end of the door here, but I won't come to the end because I don't want to darken that up. On the second coat of clear is when I'll finish it off. So on that first coat, I'll bring it just about halfway, and then I'll go halfway into the fender, and that's gonna help with the buildup on the edges. My first coat, I don't want it to look beautiful. I just want to get that clear on there and let it tack up. It's gonna be dry in some spots. It's not gonna look absolutely stunning, and I'm okay with that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna turn this in one full turn because I wanna make sure I don't run it. We are using a slow activator, and I wanna make sure that the paint gets on there without falling down the panel. And first coat is done. Looks like we got a little bug in here, so I got this dirt pick. Try to pick it out. Check that out. It's actually got serrated edge on there, so it can pick up anything pretty easy. Let's show you what the first coat looks like. So the first coat looks pretty good. You'll find in some areas just a touch dry, especially around these door handles. That's where it wants to run down off that slick little edge right there. So we control that by just putting on a medium wet coat. Not full wet, and factory finish isn't gonna be full wet either. When you look at here, you know, our edge isn't completely wet, but that's okay. We're gonna let that set up for a good 10 minutes, and then we'll put our second coat of clear on. So let's get started. All right, well, we just changed in our brand new Paint Society shirts. If you want to check them out, a little bit darker design, everything's up on paintsociety.bigcartel.com. You can go over there and I'll get it shipped out to you the next day. Now, as for our gun, I've got to say I'm thoroughly impressed. I mean, for the price range, if you told me it was $100 more, I believe you. Now, other guns in the same price range, the Black Widow, I don't think compares. It's much heavier. The throttle, the trigger is a lot stiffer. You don't have that nice finesse, and this just atomizes 100 times better. It sprays sealer, base, and clear perfectly. So if you had both of them and you're deciding which one to get, I'd definitely go with the Astro. Remember, we had our Harbor Freight one. It just gets worse and worse, but you know, as for the gun, the only thing that kind of got me a little bit weirded out was it operated at 20 PSI, which you're not used to. That could have been the pressure gauge, or it could have been the gun makeup itself, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. That's what worked, and it worked beautifully. So I give this gun, honestly, an 8 out of 10. When I broke it down, I was happy to see no cheap plastics inside of the gun, just pretty much bare gun and a tip. That's pretty cool. I don't know about the replacement parts that would kind of make this gun last a little bit longer, but it doesn't seem to have too many parts that need to be replaced because it's just pretty straight up. But you know, guys, give it a try. If you like it, you know, let me know in the comments. But this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next one. Let's check it out.
And on this segment, we're featuring Gabe from Motivated Painters, who has been a true inspiration behind my YouTube page. Go over to YouTube and check Gabe out. He's got a lot of tips and tricks to help you land an amazing paint job. Over on Motivated Painters, he does spray water-based paint, and he'll be able to help you out with those tips, as well as full paint jobs and tips just to get a cleaner paint job as well. Also, check out Gabe's website, where he's got a lot of merchandise, apparel, and tools. Currently, he is running a coupon discount code, Paint Society, one word, receive 10% off your offer. Make sure you subscribe to his page right now.